India's rupee is sinking. China is building pressure on the border. And the United States, instead of offering relief, is tightening its grip with tariff threats. The world is watching closely because the choices India makes in the next few months could reshape the future of Asia, the global economy, and even the balance of power between East and West. The question is, will India bend? Or will it rise as a true global power? The Indian rupee has touched record lows against the dollar. Every drop in the rupee makes imports costlier, fuels inflation, and impacts ordinary Indians directly. At the same time, the U.S. has been using tariffs as a weapon, not just against China, but also against friends and partners. For India, this means the export advantage it once had in textiles, steel, and chemicals could shrink fast. But here is the twist. While India struggles with these pressures, it is also emerging as a hub for global investment. Apple, Tesla, and other tech giants are moving parts of their supply chains to India to escape China. That means opportunity, but only if Delhi can stabilize the currency and manage trade ties smartly. As if economic pressure was not enough, India faces a simmering threat on its northern borders. Chinese troops have not fully disengaged from Ladakh since the deadly Gaoan clashes. In 2020, Beijing continues to expand its military infrastructure, roads, airstrips, and even villages near the border. For Modi's government, this is not just about territory. It is about credibility. Can India project itself as a strong global power if it cannot push back against China's aggression at home? The message to the world is clear. India is willing to resist, but the cost of doing so could be high. While India and the U.S. talk about friendship, Washington is playing a double game. On one hand, the U.S. wants India as a counterbalance to China. On the other, it uses tariffs and trade investigations to keep New Delhi under pressure. From medical equipment to IT services, U.S. trade restrictions hurt Indian industries. Yet, Modi's government cannot afford to break ties, because America is India's biggest export destination, a key defense partner, and a source of critical technology. So, what is happening? A delicate dance. India resists too much U.S. pressure but never closes the door. To reduce dependence on the U.S. and China, India is diversifying its trade. With the European Union, talks on a free trade agreement have reached the final stretch. With Africa, India has doubled investments in ports, railways, and digital projects. In the Indo-Pacific, India is working with Japan, Australia, and France to build a strong economic and naval presence. This diversification is not just trade policy, it is survival strategy. By opening multiple doors, India ensures no single power, whether America or China, can trap it completely. Inside India, Modi projects strength. Every time the rupee falls, every time tariffs rise, the government balances the pain with a powerful message. India will not be bullied. The narrative of self-reliance at Mannabar Bharat is pushed again and again. This nationalism plays well at home. It rallies support for tough negotiations with the West. It also sends a message to China that India is not weak. But behind the slogans, the challenge is real. India must generate jobs, keep inflation under control, and maintain investor confidence, all while walking a tightrope between two superpowers. Think of it like this. The world is one giant chessboard. The U.S. and China are the kings, locked in a fierce rivalry. India is the queen, the most versatile piece capable of changing the game. Every move India makes, whether it signs a trade deal with the EU, builds a port in Africa, or holds naval exercises in the Pacific, alters the balance of power. This is why today, more than ever, the world is watching New Delhi. India cannot afford to be reactive anymore. If it bows too much to US tariffs, it loses economic independence. If it ignores China's aggression, it loses security. If it isolates itself, it loses growth. The real strategy is clear. India must play all sides, but on its own terms. It must push for fair trade with Washington, resist Chinese intimidation, and deepen ties with Europe, Africa, and the Indo-Pacific. India is no longer just a regional player. It is the fifth largest economy in the world. It is the voice of the global South. It is the only democracy with the population power to rival China and the technological capacity to matter in the 21st century. The rupee may sink, tariffs may rise, and China may threaten. But India is not the same India of the 1990s. Today, India has leverage, and leverage changes everything. Modi's challenge and India's challenge is to use this leverage not just for survival, but for leadership. To show that India is not a pawn in someone else's game, but a player in its own right. The story of the next decade will not just be about Washington and Beijing. It will be about Delhi, how it balances, how it resists, and how it rises. And one thing is certain, the world is watching. From Wall Street to Beijing, from Brussels to Moscow, everyone knows this truth. India holds the key. Because when 1.4 billion people move, the world cannot stay still.